What's up, guys? Today we're coming at you with our review on a game caught in the middle of a massive conflict between the armies of the pillaging Vikings, swift samurai, and noble knights. Is For Honor the medieval fighting game it's been advertised as? Is it worth your investment and time, or is it just something you should be passing on altogether? Well, get suited up for the battle and grab your weapon of choice because this is where you're going to find out. Now, For Honor starts off strong, producing a unique concept of a real-time dueling engine that relies on your blocking, dodging, and parrying reflexes to your opponent's attacks, your ingenuity to outwit your opponent's defensive stances, and your ability to time and utilize your grabs, throwing them either off balance or into an environmental hazard, which can tip the fight in your favor, provide an opportunity for a comeback, or further establish your dominance in the match. The overall execution of this, I'm glad to say, is a success and largely accessible to those who are unfamiliar with the fighting game genre. Playing from a third-person perspective, having basic and advanced tutorials for each of the 12 characters who are built from the ground up, all provide a great learning environment for both veterans and newcomers to this genre. Each of the characters are found presenting themselves more to specific roles, making them more effective against certain classes, but less effective against others. This all encourages players, both new and experienced, to understand not only the most basic principles of the game, but also the advanced recognition of who they're fighting, how they fight, and how to turn the match into a victory, further encouraging players to always remain engaged to the fight they're in, as if they become bored or lazy, they will most likely be taken advantage of. Now, at its launch, For Honor does sadly have some balancing issues, with those who are quick, nimble, and light armored still featuring decent defense stats for when they go up against those with heavier weaponry. It is our strongest hopes that Ubisoft is hard at work to make each class have their dynamic strengths and weaknesses even more apparent, further improving on the experience you're being immersed into. Moving on to the story, we are sadly met with a large, elongated tutorial mode instead, that although is met with some intense moments, very well done boss fights, well done cinematics, and interesting character backlog, is overall a very forgettable experience and not something you'll feel the want to come back and play if you decide to have at it in the first place. It is worth mentioning, however, that on its hardest difficulty, you will not have a prompt on opponent stances and will instead have to rely on your own visualization on their movements. This serves as a great way to further hone your reflexes and is definitely something worth exploiting if you want to increase your dueling effectiveness online. Now for the topic you've been waiting for, the multiplayer. Sadly, For Honor's launch has been cluttered with disconnectivity issues, making joining friends a hassle, completing larger game modes often a pain, and causing for some duels to just become a stuttered dance, as you both leg into each other with clumsy attack and defense, trying to just get the match over with. For Honor does bring you 5 game modes at launch, with Dominion has the Domination mode, Skirmish and Elimination has their Team Deathmatch modes, a 2 vs 2 player brawl, and 1 vs 1 duel mode, with no one but your own wits has your ally. Dominion is a new adaptation for a fighting game, bringing you 3 objectives for teams to fight over to dominate the opponent in points, until finally finishing off with an elimination mode as you try to kill each member of the losing team before they can mount a comeback and be back in the game to win. This overall concept is very engaging, allowing for dominant teams that get lazy to all of a sudden be on the losing end, as the other team mounts a full counter-offensive that can often be too late to catch on to. With that said, the execution is slightly clunky, with hordes of AI soldier bots flooding to the middle objective and none splitting up to take or defend the other two, leaving capturing the side objectives fairly barren and boring unless an enemy player happens to be defending it. But then also makes the middle objective far too cluttered, often leaving players with a visual headache as they try to process everything going on screen, while more often than not trying to fend off more than one attacker. This often results in a very frustrating death. In Skirmish, the objective is very straightforward. 8 players divided into 2 teams kill each other until the first team hits 1,000 points to claim victory. With elimination, it becomes a game of survival, with the winning team being decided over the last player still alive. 2 versus 2 Brawl works with the same formula as elimination, but also mixes in a more fluid tag team notion when you go in with a friend, either sticking to your own duel or linking up to join forces and crush the opposing players together. Finally, we're left with one-on-one. For honor stripped down to just your skill level and nothing more. Using only your experience and knowledge of the map and opponent's character, will you stand a chance in this mode where you are your only ally? On top of an engaging multiplayer, For Honor brings you custom matches with all modes readily available, with the option to modify rules, add bots, and even choose bot difficulty. This is an amazing way for you to try new characters and start a journey of mastering them, or you're simply trying to understand better strategies for certain game modes. As well, if you're unfamiliar with maps and find yourself constantly being thrown into environmental hazards or being cut off as you try to escape multiple foes because they knew a shorter route, this is another great way to study how each map flows for each game mode, further adding to your skill set and ability to utilize the environment in your favor. Finally, and the most important aspect of this mode, is it provides you with a casual way to just hang out with friends. As well, if you're a creator or a streamer, it's a great way to play casually with your communities or even to hold tournaments. Something that is pretty unique for a fighting game is the amount of depth For Honor brings to the customization options for each class. You are presented with the ability to change how you look from your armor to your weapon, while also slowly building your character up to how you like to play with them, as each piece of gear has different perks on it, allowing you to generate your own builds, giving your presence on the battlefield a completely individualized experience and allowing you an element of surprise against your foes who may not realize you're built completely different than your character was intended, further providing you with a hidden advantage over those who pay less attention to you and only focus on who you're playing as. One other feature present is the ability to transmogrify your gear to look like something else you own. In doing this, if you find a piece of gear with stats you love but hate the look or style of it, you can change its appearance to something you're more attracted to, provided you already own it. These core elements are generally this fleshed out in RPG titles exclusively, and having them in this title only adds to its unique presentation, setting itself apart from other fighting games. However, a word of caution should be given that the loot does scale towards your level, so don't spend all of your steel right away. Now, moving on to the economy, it is worth noting that microtransactions are present but not generally needed if you're able to grind the multiplayer genuinely every day. These transactions feature shortcuts to having all feats, which are only available in certain game modes anyways, or aesthetic additions to feature on your emotes, executions, or your armor. The earning of in-game currency could definitely be better, with improvements only really being needed for the amount of steel you receive when you win a match and how much is rewarded when completing harder challenges. For dedicated fans, however, utilizing the daily board and spending appropriately will see you not having too many issues in the ability to purchase the rolls for new gear. Again, a word of caution on spending in-game currency is that all loot follows a random number generator. So in addition to scaling with your loot, there's no guarantee you'll receive what you were hoping to get. Finally, we touch base with the longevity of this new IP. Now, Ubisoft has reassured gamers that the Season Pass will only unlock new players, early access, and extra aesthetics, but game modes and future maps brought forward will be completely free, allowing for the player base to not be split up. This is a great way to utilize a season pass, but still keep players playing the game without feeling forced into buying DLC separately or the season pass in general, just so they are able to continue playing with their friends or stay competitive with rivals. New additions to the game will be brought out on a quarterly basis following the launch date, with season pass holders, as mentioned earlier, earning 1 week early access on the content to come. And now for our final verdict. Despite having a disappointing story cluttered with a lot of unnecessary tutorials with only some areas of excitement to recapture your attention, For Honor comes back hard, bringing you a completely user-friendly fighting game that is generally open to all levels of skill, giving everyone the ability to practice and find their sweet spot with their favorite character. With that being delivered and then further building itself with a massive customization experience, giving every single character more personality with how you create them both aesthetically and with builds, further adding on hundreds of hours for you to sit down and tinker with, and then pushing this even further by reassuring players all game modes and maps to come will be free. For Honor not only does an amazing job reimagining the fighting game genre, it does it with style, pushing the limits on what it means to give back to their fan base while delivering a great game from the vanilla experience. After all of this, For Honor stands tall with an 8 out of 10 and our personal recommendation to head out and buy this game if you haven't already. Whether you're new to the fighting game genre or a seasoned veteran, there is something for everyone here. We sincerely hope to update the score down the road with each season brought forward. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video amongst your friends if you enjoyed our review or found it informative. And while you're at it, be sure to check out our other videos on this channel while you're waiting for our next upload. This is Crafty signing off, and I'll see you guys at our next Crafty video. Have a great day and stay crafty, everyone.